Hi there, welcome back. As I mentioned before, this part I'm just going to give you um, a review or overview of what is the myofascial system. So myofascia is the term combined from muscles and fascia together because it is combined and it works together as a unity piece of our body parts. Our skins, underneath the skins, there are layers of fascia structures. Just like when you peel the orange, you will see this white part inside the orange, and as well as the pulp of the orange, you will feel that there is a tiny little thin layers of something that cover the liquid part or the juicy parts of the orange. So this is how we could imagine what it's like for our muscle to be wrapped around with the fascia sheets, and these fascia sheets are connected throughout the body. So in the studies of anatomy trains, so anatomy trains is a book written by Thomas Mayers. He is an anatomist who are working a lot in doing this research and human dissections, and he showed us the evidence of the missing piece that we have been looking for when we learn about yoga philosophies. If you could remember the sheets of our body. So I believe the myofascia is the sheet that is touchable, and it is the layers that connects our inner world, our mind, and our body together. So let's see what are the myofascial system according to anatomy trains. According to anatomy trains, there are 12 myofascial meridians in our bodies, and the illustrations by Albinas here show you the demonstrations or the illustrations of how would these lines are crossing around our bodies. And that tiny little cute guide over there, so he's demonstrations of tensegrity retentions. So overall, these bony stations of ourselves and the muscles of our bodies are connect and coat with these layers of fascia, so that when we have tensions of one part, it creates the results of the tensions of another parts of the different parts of our bodies. Let's look at the first meridians or the pictures of the lines. So in anatomy trains, we will call these lines. Okay, the first line is the superficial back line, which is on the left side, as you can see. So this superficial back line is actually starting from the top part of your forehead, wrap around your head, moving downward along your electrospinae groups of muscles, and then going down towards behind your pelvic, and then go all the way down to your legs, at the back of your legs. So to stretch this part of the lines, let's do the most common yoga pose, which is downward facing dog. But before doing the downward facing dog, I would like you to do this standing roll down exercise with me. So from here, imagine you connect with the wall behind you. Let's start from nodding your head down, bring your chin towards your chest. You will already start feeling that the band behind your neck is started to stretch a little bit. And then we will stretch the thoracic part of the band, and then we draw the abdominal in and up, slowly moving, rounding your back a little bit, downward to the floor. Now you will start feeling the tensions of the middle part of your back, as you are moving down further, try to connect your pelvic, not to sway forward or to sway to the back too much. Keep maintaining the ideal alignment of the pelvis, and then moving down toward the floor. You will start to feel the whole stretch and tensions of the behind the back, which is the superficial back line. From here, I would like you to lift all the toes, then you will feel it more. From here, you will slowly shortening or bringing the line back into your normal position. So to stretch the whole systems, the rule is not to bend the joints, or not to change the tracks of the, it's called the transit roundhouse. So not to change the tracks or the ankle of the joint that is connected along the line track, along the track of such line. So in this track line, the most important one is the hips one. So if you are stretching the whole superficial back line and you keep your pelvic into this anterior tip, you probably won't feel much. But if you try to maintain in neutral positions or slightly posterior, you will also feel the stretch of the mid-back part from thoracic to the pelvic girdle or the sacrum here, as well as the back of the legs. Next one is the superficial front line. So we have back line and then we have front line. In the front line here, let's start from the lowest part of our body, which is the feet. It's connect under your toes, wrapping on the top part of your feet, and then coming up along the leg, the shin here, along your tibia muscles, and then wrap around in the front part of your legs, coming to meet in the center of the pelvic girdle here, and bind together and wrap along inner part or mid part of your body and up through the neck. So one of the important landmark or muscles of this line is the sternocleidomastoid that we already mentioned in the past slides, and of course the abdominal muscles, which is mostly superficial ones, which are rectus abdominis and the quadriceps, and also the calf muscles. And then we have the superficial front arm line, which is the arm line. Sometimes when we do the exercise that we need to lift up our arms, you probably feel kind of hot tensions of your whole arm system passing through. So these front arm lines is focusing on maintaining the level of your scapulars and also of your shoulder girdles. If your shoulder is shrugging up, of course, the energy will not pass through the whole line systems. If you are too shrinking, again, it won't pass through the whole system. So the balance and neutral hold of the upper body girdle is really important. That's why when we are teaching in the adult class and when we are instruct our students, we kind of reminding them to maintain a wide wings of the eagle wings, which is strong, and a big feather of the wings of the angels under your arm. So if you contract your back muscles, your lats, your triceps, you will also feel the strength of the whole superficial front line, front arm line as well. So at the back we have the superficial back arm line, which is very nice to connect when you think about pulling or drawing in your scapulars a little bit towards the inner part or towards the midline. So this deep superficial back arm line is also important when we are working with young children because it is developing. They can still work on it, but the muscles around those part of the back arm line is not that tense. So please be mindful when you do exercise that they have to like moving towards your backs, or they have to use the arm strength in holding themselves because their lines actually already there, but it is still needs to develop a stronger muscle tone of those muscles. And then we have back functional line and front functional lines, which is really beautiful demonstrations. It feels like a wrapping of the towel after you shower, and then you wrap your towel together. So if you wrap your towel around your body, you will feel this hugging feeling underneath your armpits and also behind your buttocks, behind your back, behind your pelvic, and behind your legs. In the front part, let's imagine we are hugging ourselves in the front part by pressing the hands here. When you contract or imagine you hug yourself tight, you will feel the tensions and contractions of this front functional lines muscle. And then if you squeeze your abdominal in, you will feel the whole system of the front functional lines. For your lower part of the body, also squeeze your legs in and imagine you are zipping your jacket, hug yourself, yes, like the statues, but not really touching and not touching. I just feel like I hug myself. I will feel the tensions around my pectoralis muscles, abdominal muscles, and also my inner thigh. So here is the front functional lines of our body. For us, it is developed, but still we need to maintain the strength of those functional lines. And here is the most important lines of our body, which is the deep front lines and the deep back line. So these lines help us to maintain our body alignment and good posture. As soon as we start having a little shift of our body parts, we should also consider working inwards ourselves by imagine we want to move tiny small parts of our muscles in our body because it is really deep. One of the most important muscle groups that relating to deep lines is the psoas muscles that I already mentioned in the previous slides. So your psoas do a lot of job. It connects from your thoracic spine, the T12 and L1, L2, L3, L4, and then it's just like go all the way, no, it's go to L3, and it's go all the way in the front part of the pelvic. If you see on the side, so it's like inserting, so from here, the back of the bone, it is crossing the pelvic, and then it's kind of slooping, kind of curling and going up, and then connect to your inner thigh, which is somewhere around here. So the trick is, as soon as you feel your inner thigh is not strong enough or strength enough, it's also referring to the weakness of your lower abdominals or the weakness of your iliopsoas muscle groups as well. So start from working with your inner thighs and also your lower abdominals. And that's it about the myofascial systems of the bodies. Oh, by the way, how do we use this learning of myofascial systems from Thomas Myers? So I would love to say that apart from teaching yoga, I really love manual therapy. So I like his idea of the lines because I am Thai. I study Thai massage. We also have Thai massage in our course, and then we have different types of massage. So some of us might already forget where are the lines and where are the trigger points, so and so. By looking at the pictures and the functions of myofascial meridians, it can also help us as a movement therapist to connect the people, to connect our students to the movement that we are about to teach. It's also help us to connect or kind of guiding us to which parts of the muscle groups that we are using and focusing on. So if you maintain the connecting lines or the tracks of the meridian lines, you will have less injuries. For example, when we do the Trikonasana poses, so from here, not just two wide legs because it's imbalance, but it should be strong enough, or the ankle of your leg should be balanced enough to maintain your standing positions, especially for the kids who are very small and tiny. And then when you rotate one side of your thigh, of course your pelvis is moving. So here, instead of trying to twist too much, maybe you can think about the side or lateral lines of that person as well. So if the lateral line is what restricts this movement, why not we stretching or do rotations before we actually get into the stronger pose of Trikonasana and to avoid us from having injuries. Another poses that mention a lot in order to strengthening and stretch our psoas muscle is when we do the warrior one pose. So when you do warrior one, one of the important part of the body to focus on is this, right? You don't want to have too much arching of your lower back, and if the back of your leg cannot be totally straight, maybe you can find something else to help with this. So first, if the heel's not on the floor, we might be able to lift the heels a bit, but engage your glutes and think about tucking in a little bit to lessen the curve of the lumbar and give the pelvic more stability, and then you will feel the connecting piece or band that's connect from your inner thigh or the hip flexor upward to your body, to your torso. And if you draw the belly in and squeeze the glutes at the same time, you will feel more strength in doing such poses, because these are the connecting muscles along the deep front lines of the bodies. Okay, see you next. This is the lateral lines and the spiral lines which are crossing. So lateral line is talk about the side part of our body, and two of the most important part of the lateral line is the IT band and also this sternocleidomastoid band. and the spiral lines is the oblique lines of our body. So one of, I would say, the core muscles groups that assist a lot in the spiral lines is your oblique muscles of your body torso. And so spiral lines helps with people who have restrict movement in doing rotations and side bending. So if you have a restricted rotations in one part of the body, try to consider stretching on your side and then do the rotations again. Another major muscle bands of this is also our back muscles, the whole back muscles, which also include the QL muscles or the quadratus lumborum muscles that we already mentioned in the past slides. So that's it for the myofascia systems. I'll see you next slides, which we're going to talk about the movements terminology.